the rebellion is reborn today.
You have a spark that'll light the fire that'll burn the first order down.
The war is just beginning. And I will not be the last Jedi.
People keep telling me they know me. No one does.
It's an instinct, a feeling. The Force brought us together.
And I will let nothing stand in our way. I will finish what you started.
Long have I waited. And now, we're coming together is your undoing.
We've passed on all we know. But this is your fight.
Okay, I think it's time to move on. We've talked about the negatives for a long time. Let's try to get more into the positives. So now we're going to transition into the reasons why we believe the sequel trilogy should not be erased from canon.
Oh, I got some points.
Okay, so I'm just gonna, like I said, as the previous ones, I'm just gonna go down the list, and then the fellows will, add on top of that as they see fit. So my first reason why I don't think they should be erased from canon, why I don't think they should be erased from canon, is because, well, this one probably is not really a big deal to some people, but it matters to me, being a big movie person, and just really enjoy, the experience of, watching movies. You can't, no matter how much you erase the sequel trilogy from canon, you can't erase the experience of seeing it in the theater. You can't take that memory away from people. Star Wars, for the longest time, have been event films. When a Star Wars movie comes out, people are excited to see it. And it felt even more like an event when we used to have to wait like 4 or 5 years in between each episode, I believe. So it's like being able to see Star Wars on the big screen. It's really special for a lot of people. It's definitely special to me. Even though I didn't watch them in the order that they were released, I watched the prequels first. But I remember seeing Star Wars for the first time, even though it's Attack of the Clones, it's not the best of them, but it's like just seeing Star Wars on the big screen for the first time. It was a very special moment for me when I was younger, and seeing Revenge of the Sith after that, and then when we first got the announcement that Star Wars was returning to the big screen when Disney acquired them, that was a moment in history. That was an event, because we didn't think that Star Wars would ever come back to the theaters ever again, ever since George Lucas gave up, So how much that, that memory, matters to a lot of people, having Star Wars return to the theaters in 2015. It's just a big moment. So where I'm going with this is like, if you take this out of canon, then you're pretty much saying that the theater experience, the experience of seeing these movies don't matter anymore. If it's free range, that if a movie comes out, there's a possibility that it can be wiped from canon. So it's like, why give people a reason to go if anything that people are invested in those movies will be wiped away? It doesn't matter. So I put this as the first reason because, like, I don't know, I just don't have it. This reason may not be as big as the other ones that I have, but I feel like it's very important for a lot of people, especially people that live and breathe Star Wars. They're out there, and one of those things that they clamor to is seeing Star Wars on the big screen, and anything that they see on the big screen is important, you know. So for them to wipe that away, they're saying that whatever theater experience you may or may not have, it won't matter in the future sense because they won't go back to it ever again. Or any characters you were invested in those movies, it doesn't matter. So why give them a reason to go see it at the theater? Why give them a reason to see it at all? It's not just the theater stuff, but just making the movie at all. If the movie doesn't do very well, then it gives them free range to just wipe it from canon and nobody will care about it anymore. You'll alienate some people, which goes back to the other point that I have with my other reasons, but that's the reason I have there. So your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I think one thing I wanted to piggyback off of is one of the reasons I had is kind of similar to what you have, but it's worded a little bit differently. I feel like if you were to remove these sequels from canon, and you were to come out with the newer films, I feel like audience members would be confused by it because like they go from 2015 is episode 7, 2017 is episode 8, 2019 is episode 9. So we had these films just like really recently, like within the past 5 years. If you were to remove them from canon, and then, like, let's say, like, for argument's sake, like, the new episode 7 comes out in, like, let's say, 3 or 4 years from now. That's still, like, not a full decade after The Force Awakens came out. So I feel like when people go to see this movie and they like, see the marketing for it, I feel like audience members would be confused by it and ask, wait, wasn't there already an episode 7? You see what I mean?
Yes.
I feel like that would kill your sales too.
It would destroy sales. That's the other thing, is that people wouldn't really go to see it if they've said, well, I've already seen episode 7, I don't want to see it again.
Exactly.
I think they have like some huge TV announcement campaign or whatever that's like, we're retconning and redoing yada yada yada. But,
Exactly.
the new episode 7.
Even then, that's not going to reach. You're right. Even then, that's like, because most people don't have cable or whatever nowadays. Most people just do streaming services.
Right.
Like, that's not going to reach everybody. Unless you have like a YouTube advertisement campaign or something like that. But even then, that's going to disappoint a lot of people, and you're going to lose a lot of people.
Or if you promote it on TikTok.
Fuck
Or
that.
Fortnite in the case.
Right. Or I was about to say, if you
Don't
use
don't ever promote anything on Fortnite.
They
Please.
already did it. They already
did it,
yeah.
remember?
I know, and it was the dumbest marketing decision they've ever made.
So stupid.
Kids
Because
love
it's a
Fortnite,
part
right?
of the lore.
I don't know anymore.
It's dumb because it's a part of the lore that wasn't shown in the movies, but instead it's Fortnite exclusive, so you have to look up that clip to get the full lore.
Right.
Otherwise, you
yeah.
just walk into a film and just see the dead speak.
Yeah. But even, like Ruby said, even if they promoted these new movies to death with marketing, you're still going to have at least a handful of people confused about what's going on. It's like, I already saw episode 7. Why is there a new episode 7? I like the episode 7. But
It's like the Wii
And like,
review.
Yeah, and like imagine how like those advertisements would be received or how they would even go. Like, you go to a movie and then like before the movie starts, you see the previews and you see we're doing away with the previous trilogy. We're doing like this new trilogy, episode 7. That's going to make a lot of people dejected because then now they're going to feel like, well, that was a waste of time for me to see those movies. What's the point of seeing these?
exactly.
Actually,
Nothing matters.
It's different when you say it in like, let's say like in like a superhero universe, like Batman, for example. Like when you see like someone say something about like, oh, a new Batman movie's coming out.
Right.
You're gonna get a lot of people to see it because like even though like you've seen Batman's origin story before, you can tell Batman in many different ways. You can't really tell Star Wars in multiple different ways.
Right.
No.
Right. Star Wars is not DC or Marvel. You can't do the same thing.
No,
You can't do it multiple times.
Right.
no multiverse, please.
I was gonna
No
say something
multiverse.
real fast. More than just people like being confused, I think the goodwill that Disney would be looking to regain by being like, we're making a new episode 7 is already lost. People would already go, so you made the first one so bad you had to go back and redo them.
Right.
Yes.
Wow. Right.
Why would I
Like,
want to
the only time that these kind of retellings from Disney are accepted is when they do like their live action or animated retellings of certain
Which
things.
I still don't know why they do that.
I don't either.
They do it and it's well received and they
$1
tend
billion.
to be all right.
$1 billion.
Right. They tend to be all right, but it wouldn't be the same with Star Wars. Like, you can't just do that with Star Wars.
No, people. If you think people were passionate about the classic Disney movies, the Star Wars fans. Oh God.
The fact that there's a Star Wars community-
Now, granted, a good amount of the like diehard fans who completely hate the sequel trilogy will probably see like those advertisements and be like, "Oh, thank God, I'll definitely go to see these." But like the vast majority of the fan base that do not, that aren't the diehard fans, they're going to be like, "Well, why should I go see these then?"
Exactly. It's like as soon as you set that precedence, then anything is fair game. Nothing matters, or it may matter if we decide to. You're gonna have the audience like backed up in a corner, being like, "Okay, what do I get invested in, and what do I not get invested in?" It's like
am I wasting my time with this? It's like, am I wasting my time with this? Or like whenever you get into a long-running series, someone has to guide you through it by telling you what's like, okay, this one's canon, this one's really good, but it's not canon, but you still read it. Like, I don't think Disney wants that.
And imagine the discussions, because you're going to have a section of the fan base that only accepts the original sequel trilogy as canon, where you're going to have a big section of the fan base that accepts the new sequel trilogy as canon. You're going to have multiple debates where people are going to be like, "Oh, well, in episode 7 this happened," and they're going to be like, "What are you talking about? In episode 7 this happened." No, the original episode 7. What? The non-canon one,
right.
Yeah, that's another thing, is that the discussions that people are going to go in, like, if there ever was a new sequel trilogy, like, you're going to have, like, just like how Kosa said, you're going to have, like, a handful of people that still say that, like, the sequel trilogy is the definitive, like, good trilogy. Like,
And
it's still
already so divisive, too. I don't think we need to add another layer of abstraction onto that.
No,
right. So, like, to go to make another trilogy, it's like, maybe the supporters of the sequel trilogy that we have now won't be so supportive of this new trilogy, and they'll probably like the things, and they'll probably see the things in this new sequel trilogy as worse than the sequel trilogy that we have now.
Right. I mean, the thing is, a lot of that is just because of the time dedicated to it. Like you're gonna have the people, like, you already have the people that are like me who've like read a bunch of the expanded universe stuff and are like, "Well, no, that's canon to me," Like,
This is my canon, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, like in my universe, it's just like, then it's just a mess.
Right, like they've already created that mess by decanonizing the expanded universe, because you already have that section of the fan base that, is like, "Oh no, the expanded universe is canon." In my
they've gone
universe,
rogue.
Right. So I mean, honestly, at this point, they might as well just keep rolling with the balls. If they're wanting to like improve, then either do better with the the Old Republic trilogy that they're doing, or just keep rolling and do like episodes 10, 11, and 12 or something and do them better or whatever.
Kosa and Beef said, "You guys are anime fans. Isn't it frustrating when you're watching this anime and you're very dedicated to it, and then they release one-off movies that aren't canon, and then you have arguments of what characters are most powerful and what are not?" Like, that is so frustrating. It's like
Dragon Ball Z, Jesus.
Well, okay. There's Naruto, Dragon Ball, and then there's the things where they combine the different anime together. Like there's the anime version of Smash Brothers that never made it out of Japan called DON, which is Dragon Ball, One Piece, and Naruto all combined into one.
Even better than that, there was Jump Superstars and Jump Ultimate Stars.
Yeah, and then you had the anime special with, what was it, Toriko, I think is the name of the anime, and then there was Dragon Ball and One Piece, instead of having Naruto, One Piece, and Dragon Ball, but I think it was just to promote Toriko.
I mean, the thing is that, like, for me, the big one was Broly being canon in Dragon Ball, because people love Broly so much, and I only...
See, that's different when they actually make it canon.
Well, that's what I'm explaining, though.
Then you have stuff
so
like...
long.
Yeah.
Right.
Several films... much debate, an entire fan base literally like berating Broly fans for being the most inseparable part of that fan base.
Then you have like
canon now.
Then you have like movies like you have movies like One Piece Stampede, which is supposed to celebrate the 20 years of One Piece, but guess what? It's not canon. What do you mean it's not canon? What the fuck
Wasted my goddamn time.
Wasted my time.
I mean, well, the thing is with those, it's kind of established already that those movies are made like for people to just enjoy more of that media, whereas Star Wars movies, those are made for you to be like, well, this is to add on to your universe. This is stuff that actually happens in that universe. So it's like, you know, it's conflicting, like when they decanonize something like the expanded universe.
So yeah, but though I'm saying is like the experience. That's what we're going back to the theater experience. The experience, not even just. I'm not even just going to do it at the theater, but just the experience of just watching these movies, and you're somewhat invested in what these characters do or what's happening in those movies, and for them to just pull the rug from under you and be like that didn't happen. It's like.
Right,
what?
made it up. Complete fiction.
Right. It's different when you go in there knowing that something didn't actually happen in that universe. When you know it's like just something for you to enjoy. When you go in there knowing that, or under the impression that it's supposed to be a part of the canon, and then suddenly are told like years later, no, it's not. That's the irritating part.
That's an L.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's like once they open the floodgates with that, anything is fair game at that point. Anything is fair. Like what can you be invested in at this point? But go ahead.
You just create an archive panic where people are just constantly wondering, well, it's like a paranoia where it's like, well, your favorite film can be decanonized at any time.
Anytime.
Yep. Like anywhere, anytime.
Yep. And that's already like. Honestly, I knew that this was like something that could be possible from the get-go because like of how easily, once again, keep bouncing back to this because of how easily that they decanonized the expanded universe. Like, you know,
and then they made it canon again, sort of, where they were like, oh,
whoa,
everything.
Well, that's the thing with the novels, though. It's like even though diehard Star Wars fans are out there and they know a good amount of the expanded universe, it's not the movies. It's not. It's like there's a different. It's a different experience reading Star Wars and actually seeing it on the screen. You know.
Right. And that's true. That is where the movies do hold more weight, especially if they get decanonized.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But
all right. I was gonna say. One of my points is similar to that, where it's like just audience experience. So, I think that these films. And I'm going to say something silly, but I'm going to actually wrap around to a point here. The memes of these films have kind of solidified a legacy where it is funny to make fun of them and enjoy them the same way the prequels were. And I think the prequels are venerated because of things like, well, hello there, and making fun of Jar Jar Binks. And it becomes this campy, appreciated thing. So for me, a reason to not make the sequels non-canon is that there's a chance of redemption by expanding on the medium. Or media, so like we could have like let's say they do another Star Wars show that takes place.
Hold on. Say that point. That's one of my other ones.
Oh come on!
We gotta stay on focus, man. We gotta stay focused. But I love it. I love that point. Save it. Okay, we gotta move on.
Okay.
So, number 2, why it should not be erased from canon. This is a very important one to me. This one's going to be kind of difficult to explain, so everyone bear with me. The second reason why I don't think it should be erased from canon is because you're going to... Where's the priorities with canon? Let me explain. So, for you to erase this sequel trilogy because a lot of people didn't like it, it's kind of a hypocritical move. Not necessarily with Disney, well, it could be, but it's like mainly with Lucasfilm. Because, let's be honest, outside of the original trilogy, there has been issues with the Star Wars universe. Let's not pretend that the Star Wars universe is perfect. There are issues here and there. So, and then we also remember 3 films before this that a lot of people didn't like. called the prequels. So, for you to look at these 3 movies and say, oh, this is the last straw, we're going to erase these set of movies and nothing else, where are
We
your
had to tolerate Jar Jar for years.
Yeah, you tolerated Jar Jar for years, but when it comes to the sequel trilogy, that's too much. That's too much.
That's like my point earlier. Like, don't be a fucking coward.
Don't be.
Own your mistakes.
Exactly. And I'm saying, if you're going to, and a lot of people are going to hate me when I say this, but it's the God honest truth, and that's why you watch my channel. If you're going to erase the sequel trilogy, then you might as well erase the prequels. You might as well get rid of those too, because that's another set of movies that people don't like to this day. So, there may be more of a following towards it, people are, being more fond of it, but there's still a good amount of people that still don't like those prequels and think they are an abomination to the original trilogy. So,
an affront to God, if you will.
Right. So, be consistent with your decisions. If you're going to wipe away the sequel trilogy, it's only fair to wipe away the prequels as well. And I know people be like, but what about Clone Wars? What about Clone Wars? Hey, I didn't say anything about the show. You can keep the show. But that's not what we're talking about.
Disney decides they don't like it after all.
Right. But if we're mainly talking about the stuff that people generally don't like, it's those prequels. You can keep Clone Wars because a lot of people really enjoy it. But if you're talking about stuff that people think damaged Star Wars, prequels are right there too. And then on top of that,
that's like the beginning of the decay.
Exactly. And then on top of that, you might as well erase Rogue One and Solo on top of that as well. Especially Solo, because that's correct me if I'm wrong, but is that the first Star Wars movie that underperformed at the box office? Yes, but it's still canon. And then Rogue One, yes, there are fans of them out there, but there's a lot of there's people that don't like it either. So it's like, and then you're holding right, and then you're holding the stain of the Disney era. As long as you keep Rogue One and Solo as well. So you might as well erase those too. So this is what I'm saying, like, when you do this, it's going to cause a domino effect of being like, oh, if we're going to erase every timeline that people, like a vocal majority say is bad, then you might as well do it with the rest of them. Why are we holding the stigma of other sticky stuff when you're easily able to erase this from canon? And once again, going to fair game at that point. If we can erase that, we can erase anything else from canon. And then you're just going to mess up the timeline even more. Who's going to be invested in what? What connects to what? Like, come on now. You can't just bail out because, oh, these movies people didn't like as much. Technically, they're still financially successful. You should be like the Transformers mindset. Like, oh, people hate those movies, but guess what? They make bank at the box office, so we don't give a shit.
You pay us a lot of money to hate us, don't you?
Exactly. So, yeah, you can't. You're going to open up. You're going to open up a Pandora's box that you don't want to open. If you erase those, you're going to have a bunch of fans being like, oh, if you could do that, you need to erase the other stuff was crappy.
It needs to be pure. All pure.
And at the end of the day, another thing fans won't like me to say, but it's the truth. Star Wars is not a pure franchise. It's never been a perfect franchise. And for people to think that this is some of the greatest writing in the history of cinema, it's not.
No.
It's
what the
not.
Fuck? That's a hot take.
When we have movies that literally have people say, I recognized your foul stench when I was brought on board. No. You
Some of the most stilted dialogue ever written.
God.
I mean, if we're talking about that, let's talk about the romance.
Oh,
romance.
Yeah,
oh, yes. You cannot look me in the eye and tell me that the romances in any of the Star Wars movies are good. You cannot look me in the eye and say that. So for people to, I know I gotta bring these Star Wars fans down to our level, man. I gotta knock them down a couple steps. Be real with yourself. Star Wars is not the perfect franchise you think it is. If you love it, if it's a part of your childhood, Great, I'm not taking that away from you, but don't pretend like the writing and stuff in Star Wars has been perfect the entire way through, because it's not. There are so many other trilogies that I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It never has.
It never has. I can think of so many other trilogies that did better writing than the original trilogy. Lord of the Rings, anybody?
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings, anybody? Back to the Future is more consistent than Star Wars. Come on, y'all.
Damn.
Yeah, I'm about to piss off some people. I might kiss 100 subscribers goodbye, but this is the truth, man.
These takes are too spicy.
This is the truth. This is why Star Wars fans, they need to calm the fuck down, because you're ruining the franchise for yourself, man.
Be like us Mega Man fans, where we just love whatever happens.
I mean, I'm not even saying that.
Okay, fuck that. We don't talk about that one.
Even animated films within the own studio that you're owned by have better movies. Toy Story.
How to Train Your Dragon.
I mean,
How to Train Your Dragon.
It's the hallmark of like fiction. No one's saying. I think there's very few people that would say that Star Wars is the epitome of cinema.
Oh, there's people that say that. There's people that say that.
I know people that praise Star Wars, like some of the things that Star Wars accomplishes, like trope-wise. But I've never seen a quote unquote like film scholar turn and say George Lucas truly was on another level when he wrote the line, "I hate sand, it's coarse and gets it." Truly the most profound and mundane of romantic situations born of this line.
Yeah, I'm sure
no
Lucas
one ever said that shit to me.
Yeah, I'm sure Lucas didn't get any awards for writing that line for Luke. I just want to go get some power converters.
I gotta get the Apache station and power converters.
Never forget that his wife had altered the script multiple times to make it into a reasonable and decent quality. I think she's the missing ingredient, honestly. That's my hot take for today.
Right. So, I'm pretty much saying, like, you don't have to like the flaws in Star Wars. I'm not saying you have to accept what they do, but it's the fact that Star Wars can recover from the flaws. Which, that's another point that I have. I'm not going to get too much into that. Yeah. But it's like, we accept Star Wars flaws and all. So it's like, you can't just look at this set of movies and say this is the worst thing ever, because it's not.
It's not.
And then as soon as you erase this, you have to be consistent with your decisions and erase the other stuff that people consider was crap.
And who's to judge what is and what isn't shit? Again, I like The Rise of Skywalker a lot because it's very fun. I would never remove it, but somebody else has a very perfectly valid reason to remove it if they were to control the franchise.
Yeah.
It's completely, of course, all media is subjective, but Star Wars, if you start doing this as a franchise this large, like, a lot of franchises have, like, experimental, like, periods where they've got to go back and undo the wrongs, but Star Wars can't really afford to have that.
It can't.
It'd be nice if it could. It'd be mighty nice if Star Wars were consistent enough franchise for that, but no.
Yeah. And if they did decide to wipe down all the stuff that the vocal majority say it's bad, you're only going to be left with a handful of stuff.
So you would have the
original trilogy, and then
two parts of the original trilogy. People don't like.
Plus, if they decide to like retcon everything, how are they going to redo it? You know, there are certain cast members that have passed away. You know.
Exactly.
They do a soap opera thing, and they go, "This episode, Leia will be played by."
Right.
Oh goodness.
Which I feel like wouldn't be right for her, like honoring her. You know.
Exactly.
I don't think Disney's too concerned about honoring memories, considering the CG either.
Yeah. But.
Oh, it's funny you say that, because this goes to my next point. Unless, is there anything else you guys want to add to that?
There was. I just had one more thing. There's another trilogy that has better writing. Godfather.
Well, even though the third one was trash.
Except for part three.
Yeah.
But
the first two, much better writing than anything in the original trilogy. So, come on, y'all. We can enjoy Star Wars, but come on. As Freddie Prinze Jr. said, Star Wars is for fucking kids.
Thank you.
Jesus.
So, moving on.
Too spicy.
Too spicy for you? Too spicy? Ooh. I think I burned my finger on that hot take. Anyway. Moving on. Number 3. The reason why the sequel trilogy should not be wiped from canon. I'm surprised people don't put this into account. Like, I mean, this goes for the actors that have been in Star Wars before, but this mainly goes to one specific person. You're going to erase the last memories of Carrie Fisher?
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me right now?
Right. It's weird because it's already in bad taste to have CGI in The Rise of Skywalker like that, and like did what they had to do for that film, but like it's somehow double sullied when you then remove that film from canon.
Right. That's what
Go
ahead.
And not only that, like, it's not just Leia in her last moments or like Carrie Fisher, but it's also like Luke and Han as well. Like, if you go to create a new trilogy, you would have to essentially recast, which you can't do, and you also can't. We clearly can see that you can't CGI them either.
No.
I mean, you can.
I mean, they can try.
No, you can't.
They'll try.
We've seen Rogue One. You cannot CGI your characters.
They will try.
What are you talking about? I love PS2 games.
And that did not stop them in Rise of Skywalker, so.
Yeah, I mean, they used better lighting for it.
Yeah, right.
Rise of Skywalker had that one cutscene where Luke and Leia were fighting in the forest looked horrible though. It looked okay.
I thought Leia looked fine. She was.
I thought it looked alright.
I thought it was fine because the body that and the face that they used, the performer that they used for that scene was Carrie Fisher's daughter.
I think that's fine in like a memory way, but like in terms of a how does it actually look way, the scene just looked very again very conspicuous CGI from the early 2000s look.
Mm-hmm.
I will give you this: the one who played the Luke design from that scene actually looked pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just Leia.
Yeah.
I think when you do stuff like that, I feel like there's something kind of soulless to be like, when you die, we have access to your image for all eternity. So part of me is like, it's just distasteful to do another sequel trilogy, and because in all likelihood they would. Disney 100% would, if it was profitable, do exactly that. CGI all of them.
They would.
Or possibly recontextualize or reuse footage from the original sequel trilogy for the new ones. That's possible too.
Well, because isn't that what they did for Leia's scenes in Rise of Skywalker?
Yep.
Yep.
Because they archived footage from The Force Awakens.
It was scrapped footage.
Yep.
And scrap lines, hence NPC energy.
Yeah.
Big NPC energy.
So yeah, that's exactly what they would do.
You walk up to Leia, smart droid.
Right.
And this is not the only.
I used to be an adventurer like you, but then
Yeah. And
be more optimistic, Dragonborn.
Stop all that shouting.
That's not the only studio that brought actors back from the dead. Fast and Furious bringing back Paul Walker with the Fast and Furious movies.
Yeah.
So they're not above that. They're not above that.
They certainly would do it. You know, I don't want them to, but they would.
So that's why I'm like.
They'll pull it. You may not want to pull the knife out, but you know they'll do it to you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, regardless of how you feel they were utilized in the sequel trilogy, you can't erase the lasting memories of their performances. You can't. Especially Carrie Fisher. That's one of the last movies she did before she passed away. And in my opinion, there isn't anything that they did in the sequel trilogy that damaged her character that much to the fact that you have to erase it.
Right. That is one of the characters that they did really well. Was Leia.
And then it's like the last time you're seeing the legacy characters like Harrison and Mark Hamill being in the Star Wars movie, and Chewbacca and Lando and all of
Right, and
them.
you know that they would not be able to get Harrison back.
They will never get Harrison back.
He was like, after this, I'm done.
That's it.
I thought it was done the first time.
Yeah, so, I don't know, this may sound like a personal problem to a lot of people, but let's be honest, man. It's like, you can't emulate the magic from those actors. You can't. So I will take what I can.
Donald Glover and Sky Bleedy Williams. They tried to do that too.
Oh gosh.
I think The Last Jedi actually was Carrie Fisher's last movie.
Yep, it was.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, like I'm taking what I can get with these actors, man. It's like regardless of how they're written, it's always magic seeing the back, you know? And so I wouldn't want them to erase that memory from us, especially that because we'll never get this again. Never. I don't have too much to go into that. That's like my main thing, so if y'all have any other thoughts, like that's my main thing. For the memory of Carrie, man, leave that legacy alive for at least that. For her daughter. Her daughter. She could have at any time said that she disapproved using Leia in Rise of Skywalker, but she did it. So that means she approves at some level of what they did. So it's don't erase that, man. Nah, I'm done. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I wouldn't say all that about Carrie's daughter approving because it could be like, well, your mom says it's gonna make you a lot of money, but she seems to not disapprove of it, so I'm not gonna complain too much, of course.
Yeah.
But like, you're right with it. I actually had to written down one of the reasons you can't. It would be hard to create a direct sequel to the original trilogy if you did a remake trilogy or like the redone new sequel trilogy because the actors are dead. And that's kind of like a really grim but like real thing about that, though.
Oh yeah, and then you don't know if they do a sequel trilogy and try to bring back the actors that are around. You know, there's no guarantee that they'll be around by the time they get to.
Having been a Twin Peaks fan and having watched that show literally come back on the air after 25 years, and seeing how many actors died within the first couple weeks of shooting was actually disconcerting. It was like a wake up call that no, it's when they're old, they're not in sync as they used to be, and they can expire at literally any time. That's the frailty of mortality.
Yeah.
Because one of the actresses died as the first episode of Twin Peaks season 3 has in memoriam to a character who was just on that episode. So it's just like oof. So I can imagine with Star Wars, you don't want to have that happening all the time. It's just in memory of Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford.
Right, like kind of.
It'd be very bleak.
Yeah,
I know they're tired.
Like it's one of those things like with Bernie Mac in Madagascar, you know.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah.
That brought me some joy just now. Well, you're right though. It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't mess with people's emotions, man. It's like...
I mean, it's like Orson Welles in Transformers, too. That was his last...
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What a cool fucking role it was.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard conflicting stories. Apparently, he either hated it and, dreaded it, or he did it for his, nephew or something. Or, a kid member of the family.
Mm-hmm.
I've heard conflicting stories about that, but I'm like... Cool, if that's true, and also, I mean... It's pretty cool. You play literally a planet just eating monsters. That's amazing.
Right.
And he has smooth ass voice doing it.
Right.
It's hopeless. But no, that was one of the big reasons I put down too. Was just the actors are dying and time is a very very limited thing. So film contracting Mark Hamill today doesn't mean he'll be there tomorrow, which is sad and grim. But yeah.
Right.
One of the reasons I have written down is very silly. I just really like the world that the sequels were setting up. At least again, I talked earlier about I love Exegol's design. I love I really just enjoy looking at the planets. In the Rise of Skywalker, I forget the name of the planet where it's under the watch of the First Order, but it's like the snowy planet where everyone's hiding in their homes. And I actually really thought that was great looks like a fantastic like planet design. I would love if they explored that in expanded media.
I think the name of it was Kajimi.
Yeah, Kajimi was so fucking cool, and I would love it if like Star Wars did like a episode or a film or whatever set on Kajimi. Like that stuck out to me. Or hell, go back to Exegol. The dubstep planet is really fucking cool. Right. And also the hole that Kylo Ren fell down is hilarious. Fun fact, did you know that apparently there were cuts of the script where Kylo Ren didn't come back from that hole, so he just fell out of the film, pretty much?
Oh, God.
Into the void with you, trash boy.
I probably would have been pissed. But
Yeah, I would have been like, really? That's how he does?
you know what?
I would have laughed.
This is the best character in the sequel trilogy, and you're going to do him like that?
And man, he had the guts to stand up to Palpatine, and Palpatine was like, yeet, and that was it.
Also, I'm going to say, though, actually, to go back to the earlier discussion of why the sequels should be made on canon, is because the wasted potential is way too immense. And I would rather... That's a big one for me, is that they had so many ideas that were cool and were worth exploring. But, yeah, that's now past discussion, so I can't go back.
Oh, but that goes into my next take, so don't worry.
Oh, no!
Is everyone...
There's a trap.
Yep. Is everyone good to move on?
Yep.
Okay, so going to my next phase. Fourth reason why I think the sequel trilogy should not be erased from canon is because you're not allowing the sequel trilogy to learn from their mistakes.
Don't be cowards.
Don't be cowards. We all remember when the prequels came out, when everyone just shitted on them, right? Like, people thought there was no redeeming of the prequels. There's nothing good coming out of that. We can't make it any better. Until there was a show that came out called Star Wars The Clone Wars that made us look at the prequel trilogy in a different way and expanded on the lore that the prequels established and fixed the character development of Anakin, Obi-Wan, everyone like that. So pretty much help to redeem aspects of the prequels, correct? So, if you can do it with the prequels, why can't you do something like that with the sequels? It's possible. I've been saying for the longest time, and I think Beef and everyone is trying to say, like, couldn't they do a sequel series show that takes place after the Rise of Skywalker to help fix certain stuff that the sequel trilogy did and expand on the lore of the sequel trilogy and make characters better developed? Can't they do the same thing with that? There's nothing in the sequel trilogy that can't be fixed to some degree. And so, for you to run away from your problems and just erase it, that questions your integrity as a studio and as a franchise, as a company.
Disney has no integrity.
Apparently, but you like to think that you have integrity, right?
The illusion of integrity, there we go.
Yeah. So it's like, you can do the same thing. If you appointed Dave Filoni to write, something for a sequel series to the sequel trilogy, I'm sure he could come up with something really good, something very special, make us look at the sequel trilogy in a different light. And I know that's possible because you even have YouTube content creators doing fan stuff that has to do with the timeline of the sequel trilogy that helped expand on certain stuff. So it's possible. It's possible.
You can redeem yourself if you just believe.
If you just believe, man. Don't take the easy way out. Don't, man. And like Beef said, there will be so much wasted opportunities and wasted concepts that the sequels did that you'll be just throwing away. You could do so much with what the sequels have established. I know there's people that will fight me on that, but it is, man. You need to get past your hate for a second and just look at what they established. Look at what they built. They can do so much more. If you can spend 50 minutes talking about how you would have done the sequel trilogy better, you can do that. You can make a sequel series that can make the sequel trilogy better.
On fanfiction.net.
Right. Hopefully not too much in the fanfiction like The Rise of Skywalker was, but, still.
Yeah.
They were still trying, right? Like, even with Rise of Skywalker, when people hated The Last Jedi, there's people that thought the Rise of Skywalker helped redeem certain moments of The Last Jedi. So it is possible you can redeem some stuff from this. It's possible. But anyway, thoughts on that?
I mean, yeah, no, I mean, personally, I was someone that didn't really mind the prequel trilogy too much outside of Episode 1. But, but yeah, no, like, Clone Wars definitely helped to enhance that, and they could do something like that, and I think that they've actually been trying to with, what is it? I think they call the series Star Wars Resistance.
Oh,
so,
I heard about that.
I've heard about it. I haven't looked at it, but I mean, that's probably them taking those first steps to try to do something. And it's like, yeah, they could definitely learn from those mistakes and do something better. But you just gotta give them the opportunity to, and not canonize.
Disney has to own the fucky wucky to become stronger.
Yeah, the answer to your problems is Dave Filoni.
Dave Filoni. Dave fucking Filoni.
Something Dave Filoni.
Gosh. Yeah, it's like, so I don't see why, JJ and Filoni can't sit down and just figure out a roadmap for a show that ties into that. And you don't necessarily have to get the original cast back to do voice acting, so...
Right, like they've had, in the Lego games, they've had people step in for those voices. And they sound pretty good.
Mm-hmm. And I bet you...
Yeah, you could tell the actor for Lando sounds different just from one of the previews for the Skywalker Saga Lego game.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. So I bet you, if they did do something like that, people will look at the sequel trilogy in a different light. Just like they did with the prequels. I know it's possible. So, let them learn from their mistakes. It's possible. It's possible.
The true lesson of The Last Jedi, any franchise can get redeemed if you try hard enough.
Right. Okay. If we're good with that, we can move on to the final point that I have. Number 5. Another point that people might not think is very important, but it is. You're going to alienate the fan base. Again. If you erase them from canon. Like, I know there's a vocal majority that don't care about the trilogy, and they're more than right to have their opinions on it. But you cannot underestimate the fan base for the sequel trilogy, especially for people that are just getting into Star Wars. There are some people out there that these set of movies are their first introduction to Star Wars, man. This is what's getting people into them, And it's like...
I mean, for people like me who like anime, these films have big anime energy.
Yeah, they do.
It's like Transformers, how you got people that were introduced to them through the live-action films. Like, just roll with it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I know...
Newcomers, they're great.
Yep. And I know this is something that Star Wars fans don't want to accept, but it happens. There are people that have never seen Star Wars before that prefer the sequel trilogy over the originals. There are people out there, man.
My girlfriend does.
Oh, there you go! there you go! There are people out there that prefer these movies over the originals. For people that are trying to get people into Star Wars and they're showing the original trilogy, there are people that probably won't care about the original trilogy because it's dated to them. Or it's corny to them, But it's like with the sequel trilogy, it has that modern aesthetic, It fits more into the crowd-pleasing stuff that people are accustomed to with movies nowadays. Like, I don't necessarily go for that stuff all the time, but it's like it plays a part in the movie experience. So it's like I can't argue that. So for people getting accustomed to Star Wars, this is their first introduction. Just like people were introduced to Star Wars with the prequels, like myself. The prequels got me into Star Wars, not the original trilogy. So it's like, it's possible for people to enjoy stuff outside the original trilogy as their first thing, to get them into Star Wars. That's the beauty of Star Wars, is that it appeals to so many people. Some people may not think the originals are their favorite, but they like the prequels. That's great. Or people don't like the prequels, but they like the original trilogy. That's fine too. Or people prefer the sequels over the others, and that's fine. Or people prefer the shows and the video games and the comic books. That's great too. It can appeal to so many people. But don't alienate the people that don't alienate the people that, enjoy this franchise. They don't. There is a fan base out there. That's why these movies keep making $1 billion. There's fan base out there. But it's not like shit quality like the Transformers films. Like, there's actually people that think these are good movies. And even people that enjoy the prequels and the original trilogy. There are some people out there that think that the sequels are just as good as those. So it's like, you can't alienate those people. It's what I've been saying about DC. I know there's people that don't like Snyder's movies, but there's a fan base for those films. And when you alienated them when releasing that horrible theatrical version of Justice League, you alienated that audience, and that underperformed. And now the fan base is coming back because the Snyder Cut is officially coming out, and so the fan base is going to come back and support those and make more money, and then the excitement for DC has been rejuvenated again. So it's like, it's a similar thing with Star Wars. There is a vocal majority that don't like the sequels, and that's fine. You are more than welcome to hate them. That's fine. That's your opinion. But don't say that people are wrong for disliking these movies, because there's stuff that resonates there's stuff in these movies that resonates with people, and I can't take that away from them. I hear a whole bunch of people who are defenders of The Last Jedi, including Ruby, that tell me a bunch of stuff in that film that resonates with them, and I can't take that away from them. And I understand why that resonates with them. And even when people don't hate The Rise of Skywalker, I
love it.
Right, it's like there's stuff in there that resonates with us. Even though there's stuff that's not coherent in that movie, there's still some really great emotional and character moments in that film. And you guys know I love The Force Awakens, and I don't give a shit how many people say it's a rehash of A New Hope. There are some really good characters in that movie. Yes, and it's a good story, and it's a good starting point for a world. I'm invested in that world. It got me invested in Star Wars again. After Revenge of the Sith, my overall passion for Star Wars kind of died a little bit. It kind of died. There was nothing really that was holding me. But then the sequel trilogy came out and made me rejuvenate my passion for Star Wars. That's why I'm here talking about Star Wars with you guys today. It's because of the sequel trilogy. So don't take that passion away from people just because you don't like it. Everyone can have their own opinions about these movies, and that's okay. So, thoughts on those, gentlemen?
I like that is pretty much the entirety of media criticism right there in a nutshell. Opinions are okay. But, I think that that's valid. There are people, again, like Alfred commented, that, the new ones, they look nice. I don't know. There's just little things that she liked more about them because they're just more appealing. And I guess it is Disney succeeding there, is that, hey, you got somebody who specifically is coming to you for that market now. Might not be me, but somebody very close to me. And, I think that the enjoyment, again, I'm somebody who enjoys The Rise of Skywalker. Almost unironically, I would say. It's gotten to the point where, the more I think of it, the more I'm like, this film has a lot of crippling problems, but it has a lot of ambition, and I love a film that has ambition, even if it's bad. And especially when it's bad, actually. But, these films have a very special place in my heart as somebody who watched them with, my dad used to call me out of school to go see Star Wars when I was younger, because the new film, I think it was Attack of the Clones had just come out, so I got called out of my 3rd grade class early. So these have a special place in my heart, and finally coming home from college just to see The Force Awakens and The Last Jedi, and then talk with my dad in the parking lot of the movie theater, it's experience that I wouldn't want to, I'm not going to lose it if it's made non-canon, but what it does do is it tarnishes it a little bit. Where I will always feel like this is a lesser memory now because it doesn't really count.
Yeah.
But not like a lesser memory per se, that's a little bit, I'm stretching it, I'll admit. But I will say that that experience gets a little bit of a downer.
It devalues it a little bit.
Just a little bit. Property value goes down just a little bit. But, I don't want that, and it's not like it's ever going to go away. Again, my dad watched the last podcast we did. I'm very happy that I could, the sequel trilogy brought up my passion for the series to the point where I'm appearing here. So, sequels do some good stuff. I mean, for me at least, a lot of good stuff, in fact. Because I got into Star Wars from this. Much like D-WZLE, they stoked that fire in me that had died out for a long time. Because the last thing I think I was excited for with Star Wars was The Force Unleashed prior to the sequels.
Yeah.
Mm.
And those haven't held up the best. Not bad, though, but haven't held up too great.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, please don't be afraid of sequels, Disney. Just don't be coward. Own the mistake. Take your L. Everybody has... Again, Disney still advertises the original Tron, even though we all know that movie is boring and slow as sin.
Right.
Cool idea.
They're making a third one.
Wait, what? They are?
Yeah.
They're in
I've
talks
never
to
been
do
so
that.
scared.
They're in talks to
The
do it.
script got written, apparently.
I've never been so scared and so excited at the same time.
And that's another thing with Tron. It's like, yeah, I didn't care for Tron or Tron Legacy, but then there was a show called Tron Uprising that they did that got canceled abruptly, but it's amazing. So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
you can do something with this.
It's a fucking crime they got canceled.
I know.
I'll never
That was
forgive them
horrible.
for this.
That was a sad day.
I'll never forgive them for this.
Right.
Well, yeah.
Like,
I'll forgive them if they do Tron 3. Something like that. If
fine.
it's
It's
anything like Uprising, then I'm for it.
alright, here's my
They know what works now.
Yeah.
here's my take. Do a new Tron sequel, but you have Carpenter, Brett, and a bunch of synthwave artists doing the soundtrack. Go lean full into the vaporwave aesthetic.
Okay.
That's the deal, Disney. You can do a Tron sequel only if you have synthwave artists doing it. So it sounds like an 80s John Carpenter film. It's the only way. It's the deal.
Probably get Daft Punk.
Anything?
Again.
No, Daft Punk was good though, the first one.
Yeah.
Like, I still listen to the Tron Legacy soundtrack.
Yeah.
But enough about Tron.
Yeah. So, any other points you guys want to bring up before we close it out?
Not really. I mean, like I kind of went into this with like the kind of half and half perspective, but yeah, no, I honestly don't think that they should canonize it. You know,
I just feel like, why run? Why run?
Why?
It will always, hey, why are you running? No point. The Star Wars Holiday Special is the closest example we've got to something that was a large production getting deep.
Right. All right. We
Put into the void.
Oh
we
yeah.
can run from the holiday special. That's fine. All right. But
Yeah. Why is that? Why is that canon?
The Holiday Special
But you
is
want
the
to keep.
number 9 of Star Wars.
Yeah. You want to erase the sequel trilogy, but you want to keep the holiday special, oh boy.
No one wants to keep the Holiday Special, but I don't think the audience exists.
Yeah.
yeah, if we're decanonizing the sequel trilogy, decanonize the holiday special, please.
Yes, please.
It is, isn't it not? It's not canon, right?
Huh?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
How much do you want to bet that if you ask Kathleen Kennedy if she knows what the holiday special is, her answer is going to be, what?
Oh yeah,
That's the proper response.
It is the correct answer, yes, but it's not for the right reason.
John Favreau.
She'll be like, wait, what's the holiday special?
Never mind. Don't do it.
Leave her pure and untainted by the Holiday Special.
No, don't give them the idea.
Don't make her sit through whip, stir, stir.
Don't give them the idea to make another one.
What do you mean? I want to hear someone else sing Life Day again.
It's funny
I want
because
the Wookiees to just talk.
Yeah, another Wookiee-only episode.
no. I need unless there's subtitles. No. No.
Give me the Star Wars Wookiee sitcom. I'm ready.
I need sitcom. I need subtitles. I need
Nope, no subtitles.
Oh, come on.
No,
Anime at least gives
If
the
we're
decent.
getting a Wookiee sitcom, I want a Porg sitcom.
Oh my god, yeah, there we go. That'll be the sequel.
Oh, God.
Done. It's in the books.
Oh, my
Wookiees,
God.
Porgs, and Ewoks. All three of them.
You might as well do Star Wars
such-
babies.
I first only had Gungans.
Gungans. Bam.
Yeah, Boss Nass is the main character.
God.
Oh my
Yes.
You might as well do Star Wars babies. Like,
god. I feel like this podcast is done now after that statement. I can't take anymore. That's it, damn it.
oh, God. Well, that's our overall thoughts on whether we think the sequel trilogy should be canon or not canon. Well, we'll see what happens. You know.
Tune in next week for Disney made sequels non-canon, a video essay reflecting on the horrors of non-canonizing things.
Oh, it'll be a very sad day. I'm sure a lot of people will be rejoicing. Yeah, sequel trilogy's not canon anymore. It's like, you have no idea what you just brought upon us.
Right. The sequel trilogy now stars Jar Jar Binks.
That would be the Julian Depression episode.
It's like if they ever like do like remove it from canon, it's gonna like remind us all back to the scene from Infinity War. Did you do it?
Right, yeah.
What did it cost the fan base?
Every goddamn thing. What
What did it cost Kathleen Kennedy's career?
should have been a long time ago.
Well, we're not really losing much, so.
So
We're not losing much without her, so. Brr.
So
We've suffered enough. We've lost enough.
yeah. So, I hope everyone watched the entire video and didn't get mad halfway through without listening to our whole argument. So,
Yeah, and with that being said, you should resub to D-WIZZLE.
yes, you just heard all my points. You know, just hear me out. I'm not trying to convert people to my opinion. I'm just trying to have you see a different point of view. You know. But tell us what you think. Do you guys think?
So what he told you was true from a certain point of view.
Nice.
Bam.
Nice. But
Jesus.
tell us what. So tell us out there, what do you guys think? Do you guys think the sequel trilogy should be erased, or do you guys think it should stay how it is? Comment below your reasons why it should and shouldn't. If you guys enjoyed, don't forget to leave a like, or if you didn't like what I had to say, go ahead and hit a thumbs down. It's fine. If you want to subscribe to the channel, sure. I hope you don't unsubscribe, because I'm just a regular guy with his own opinions, you know. But
Just a humble opinion farmer.
yep. So yeah. So hopefully get some more Star Wars content to you guys soon. Said the next thing I want to cover is Star Wars Rebels at some point, so tune in for that when it comes out. And that's all we have for you Star Wars fans, and we'll see you guys in the next one. May the Force be with you always.
Alright, take it easy, guys. McClanky!
McClanky!
Okay, man.
McClanky! Bye, everyone.
I made sure not to forget that time.
Good.